Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
We're live from the I Own It studios in Laguna Beach, California, and we just keep rolling out great guests, and today is no different. This gentleman started a company called Big Block Realty. He is an expert in residential real estate, and I know it's not commercial real estate like what we do, but however, he has a lot of knowledge in the space, and he's happy to come up here from the southern part of Southern California up to Laguna to spend some time with us. So Oliver Graf, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here live with us.
Absolutely.
And welcome.
Thanks for having me on. Very excited to be here and love the studio.
Well, thank you. So let's get right into it, okay? So many people complain about real estate broker fees, okay? And incentives, and your company uses an incentive strategy that I thought was really unique to streamline your incentives. Tell everyone how you came up with this idea, and how has this structure been the key lever to your company's rapid growth?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the 30-second version of our model is we pay our agents 100% commission, and then they pay a monthly fee to be a part of the brokerage. So the idea for us was, back in the day, I was fascinated with Robert Allen's books, and I read multiple streams of income, and it really changed the way that I thought about money and business and everything. And we liked the idea of recurring revenue for us on the business side. And so we were at a mastermind called Collective Genius, where we kind of threw out the idea initially, my partner Sam, and we kind of threw it out there to the group of hey, what do you think about having a real estate brokerage that's kind of like a membership model, where instead of putting every agent on a 60-40 split or whatever it is, we would pay them 100% commission, and they would pay a monthly fee to hang their license with us. So that was kind of the beginning of the idea. And then taking it a step further, we really liked the idea of, we didn't like the way traditional real estate brokerages were run, in the sense that we're very entrepreneurial. We don't like really being told what to do or how to run our business. I didn't want to do mandatory meetings. I didn't want to do floor time or any of that kind of stuff. So we really tailored the brokerage to be more entrepreneurial focused, and we really believe that by letting the agents put more money in their pocket, then they could decide how they want to spend their marketing dollars, if they want to offer discounts to people, how they can spend their money however they see fit. And so we thought by helping them win, they would in turn help the people buying and selling real estate win, and everybody wins.
So it's really a conglomerate of people that really have their own business.
Yes.
And they're paying you a membership fee to belong to the Big Block Realty, to be part of your umbrella.
Yep.
Have you found that model has allowed your people to really work a little bit harder, put in that extra effort, because I'm paying my monthly nut anyways.
Yep.
I got to produce revenue.
Yep.
And have you seen a growth, or looked at the metrics and say people are doing more transactions when they're laying out money, and they know if they don't do a deal that month, they're still laying out the fee?
Yeah. What's been interesting about that is that's what helps us attract more producing agents, because if an agent isn't doing any deals, or if they do one deal a year, they're not going to want to pay a fee. Whereas agents that produce, they're almost guaranteed to make more money with our model than they are with the traditional model. So it's been a good magnet in that sense, because, to your point, when they're laying out the money, they want to see a return on it. And so it's worked out really well in that sense.
That's great. So my sense is that your marketing skills have been a big part of your professional success. And just how important do you view marketing to your success?
Yeah. No, I think it's everything. I think you hit the nail right on the head. That is what separates us from everybody else. I mean, if you look at our branding, we have a bright green and black logo. Everything we do is kind of built to stand out. One of our taglines is, "We're not your grandpa's brokerage." So if you look across all the real estate companies out there, most of their logos, have a house in it or are red and blue or whatever. And so we kind of went the opposite direction. But me and Sam, we've been marketing nerds for a long time, and we've really kind of studied that. And especially with like, we grew up at the beginning of like the internet age. And so just really studying the digital marketing and how to get your message in front of people at a low cost has really helped, helped us grow pretty fast.
Are you just local, or are you branching out? I know we've talked, you said you're looking at branching out around the country. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, so we have about 1,100 agents in California, which is where our corporate office is and where we're licensed. And then we have another 300 to 400 agents through franchising, which we've been working on. And so we have 4 franchises up and running right now, and we have another 5 that are just right around the corner. So now our main focus as a company is to grow across the country out of California through franchising.
So many entrepreneurs have skepticism about investing too much in marketing. They don't have the confidence that the investment that you need, that's required, will lead to the kind of returns you're hoping for. And that is really hard to measure. I always find that hard to measure. When you hear the line of thinking from other entrepreneurs, what is your advice for them?
So I think there's 2 ways to look at it. One is there's the branding side of things, and then there's the immediate impact side of things. The immediate impact side of things is definitely measurable, right? If I run ads on social media or Google or YouTube or any of those type of ads, I know right away what my cost per click is, what my conversions are, how much each opt-in costs, and I can track it all the way through the funnel, right? From opt-in to when they actually sign the contract, and we can literally know that it costs us X amount of dollars to get a new agent, and that new agent is worth X amount of dollars over X period of time. So in that sense, I think it's very trackable and very measurable. And then there's the other side, which we kind of call Goodwill marketing, which is not trackable, but it, to me, is like the secret sauce. Like, we do a lot of things like we do a monthly social every month in our market. We're going to do a huge holiday party in December where we rent out the cruise ship terminal in San Diego. We probably have 700 to 1,000 people there. We open it up to the entire real estate community, and that costs us a ton of money. And there's really no direct like, oh yeah, that led to this amount of business. But it also creates a ton of buzz. It gets people posting about it on social media. It does all the things that you can't quantify, which I think is what really gives you an edge. If you can get, we all want word of mouth marketing because it's the most effective. If I can get someone to say, oh yeah, you should check out Big Block Realty because they're doing these awesome socials, they're doing these awesome trainings, they have great parties, and the culture's great. I think that's way more valuable than just dumping more money into like magazine ads and things like that.
Okay. So what do you enjoy most about helping entrepreneurs to become so successful?
I love it. I love everything about it. I'm an entrepreneur to the bone. Like, I remember being in elementary school and like selling candy to the other kids, like going to Price Club when it was Price Club back in the day, and buying big boxes of candy and coming to school and kind of dishing them out in smaller packs to the kids. Or like fireworks weren't allowed here, but one county over they were allowed, so we would go get fireworks, bring them back, and sell them to all the kids in the neighborhood, stuff like that. So I love being an entrepreneur, and because of that, I think naturally I just love helping other entrepreneurs succeed. So we've really built the business model to where someone can just plug in and they can go, and we let them create their own brand. We let them have full freedom of how they do their marketing. We give them all the tools that they can go out and just be successful. As long as they've got the drive, the ambition, we can give them everything else. We give them the training, the support. If they need help on contracts, we have a broker hotline. We have an agent concierge that will help with anything that's not related to transactions. So really, we've kind of built the business top down to allow for entrepreneurial type folks to come in and run.
Do you feel your podcast, you have a podcast as well, great podcast. Do you feel that's an extension of who you are to help other entrepreneurs? And what was your objective when you started it? And how do you view it now that you've been doing it for 3.5 years?
Yeah, so the podcast is, back to what we were just talking about. It's one of those unquantifiable things. Like, I initially did it because it's a couple reasons, right? It's one, I wanted to just help our agents, and by interviewing rock star agents and business owners, they can naturally learn from that. It helps them, it helps us. It's a win-win. But then there's also the other side of, like, you can't get better coaching than that, right? Like, if I couldn't get Ryan Serhant to come on and do a coaching call with me for probably less than 20 grand, but if I say, hey, come on my podcast, and then I can ask him whatever I want, then I'm learning and it's free. Right. So that's been really cool. As I'm sure you know, we've got like Grant Cardone on, Robert Kiyosaki, Serhant, Chris Voss, like all these big time guys that I wouldn't just be able to get a conversation with. So that's been a big part of it. And then obviously, the marketing piece is just getting the brand out there, getting my face out there. And so it's kind of three-pronged approach. But yeah, it's been great. We love doing it, and encourage anybody to check it out. Founders Club is the name of the podcast.
Great podcast, by the way.
We've had Ben on there as well.
I was a guest.
He crushed it.
It was great. Great show. So I get the sense that you love what you do.
Yes.
And that's so important. Would you agree? What would you advise people who say they like but don't love what they do? It's always something that, people wake up and they go to work and they don't really like what they do. What advice would you give to people that, you have a different lens when you wake up every day? You go and, you have a great partner, Sam, and you guys have a great business. You really enjoy it, and it gives you a lot of freedom to live the life you want.
Yeah.
What would you advise people that aren't really digging what they're doing?
I would say that's terrible, and they should switch up what they're doing. I'll answer that a couple different ways. Like, I love surfing. I can't make a living surfing, so I can't go surf every day. And on the flip side of that, I don't love real estate. I don't wake up dreaming about houses and things like that, but I do love the business, and I love the game, and I love being an entrepreneur. And so I think if you just maybe switch the way that you're looking, if you truly don't like what you should do, you should stop doing it and do something else. But if you can just make some tweaks, maybe you're burnt out, and maybe you can do that exercise where you track your time for a week and then figure out what do you absolutely have to do, and then try to delegate more so you have more free time to go surfing in the afternoons, and kind of reconfigure the way you're set up. But if you absolutely don't like what you're doing, you should do something else.
Let's talk about partnership and partners.
Okay.
You and Sam have a great relationship, which is unique.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there that are in partnerships, and they go awry. They're not as quality as your partnership. And a lot of partnerships I see that have issues is that they're not supporting each other in different roles. One party should be doing certain things that their strengths, the other party should be supporting and do strengths that other person had. How do you guys integrate your partnership, and how do you suggest people handle a partnership? Because it's very challenging to have a successful partnership, especially because you need your goals aligned together. And it's really challenging because I've been involved in partnerships, and if you have a strong work ethic and the other person's not pulling the wagon in the same direction, guess what? It causes conflict.
Yep.
So how do you suggest people deal with partnerships?
Yeah, so I love this question because, we've been really lucky to have, we've been partners for going on 15 years now. And I think a couple keys that are super important, one you just mentioned, is you guys both have to be heading towards the same North Star. You got to be putting in the same number of hours. You got to be working hard together. It can't be one guy's at the country club and one guy's at the office. Two is don't partner with someone that has the same skill sets as you, right? Like our skill sets are very different. Like Sam's more the face. He's sales. He's great speaker on stage, all that kind of stuff. So he's more front of the house. And then I'm more back of the house with like marketing, operations, finance, stuff like that. So we have very clear roles in terms of who's doing what. And we both stay in our lanes. And then, which I think is hugely important. And then third is you have to have some mechanism to mediate disagreements. Like there's times where we butt heads on stuff like any partnership will. Mm-hmm. And we have a coach that we've been with for a long time, Mike Ferry. Mm-hmm. And we have a pre-agreed agreement that anytime there's a dispute, it's like, if we're getting heated and we're getting into it, it's like, okay, let's just take it to Mike and whatever he decides. If he sides with you, I'll agree with it. If he sides with me, you agree with it. But he's the tiebreaker and we can move on. So
once that happens, you guys just move on, put it in the past.
Yeah, then it's done.
That's the way to do it.
Then it's done.
I agree with that. So you've had a lot of success across multiple businesses already in your career, and you're still fairly young. Do you have any big goals that you want to achieve in the next couple of years?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I have a lot. Right now we're growing the franchise thing, which we're very excited about. That's very new to us and really looking forward to kind of taking our model and finding other like-minded people across the country that can plug in and get going with that. Another thing that we're working on is acquiring companies. So that's something that's newer for us that we're really excited about. Is I think as the market shifts, there will be a lot of opportunities for acquisitions. I think that's going to be huge. And then on more of like the fun side, I just want to travel the world. I have a goal to set foot on every continent. I only have 2 left, Asia and Antarctica. So I'm working on that. But yeah, always trying to push the needle. I'm big on setting goals every year at the beginning of the year. I'm big on writing out a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, all that kind of stuff. I think that's huge.
So your profile says you're an activist. Okay. What causes are you passionate about, and what have you gotten involved in?
Kids. I'm really big on kids. Like I saw this thing that broke my heart the other day about these kids that have cancer, and probably can't even talk about that without getting emotional, but just helping kids. Like I really am, they're the next generation. And so anything we can do to help them. And then on that same note, like music and art, I'm both really passionate about both of those. So I like things that I can get involved with that help multiple of those 3 things. So like music programs for kids, art programs for kids, art programs in schools, different things like that. Because I think that, kids get a good education these days, but I don't know that they get enough of like the creative side of things. And I think the creative side of things is what makes things more interesting and that's where innovation happens. It's where the logical brain meets the creative brain. So anything in that realm, I'm all about it.
So let's touch on that. You love art and music, right? And who are some of your favorite artists or musicians? And are you a collector? I know you make your own art. Share with everyone like what you do, because I've been in your studio and it's just mind blowing some of the artwork you've created.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So we paint ourselves. We've been painting for probably also going on 20 years since college pretty much. And we have our art studio where the podcast studio is that you've been at. Very street pop style. So anyone that wants to check that out, it's OG and Fat Cat is our handle on Instagram. But yeah, I'm really into like street art. I mean, my entire family's German. So I remember being a young kid and going to like the Berlin Wall and seeing all the crazy artwork on the Berlin Wall and just being fascinated of like people painting buildings and like graffiti and like all that kind of stuff. So, big fan of like Banksy, Cause, Shepard Fairey, all that kind of stuff.
That's great.
That whole genre.
Yeah, I love that. I love that
too.
That's
my scene.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah.
So we're all works in progress, and you've obviously in life, to be an entrepreneur, you go through challenges, failures, successes. Was there a name of our show is called I Own It. And what that means is you own every aspect of your life, your behavior, what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, what you paint, who you associate with. Was there ever a time in your career that you felt like, I don't really own who I am and what I'm doing, that you can reflect back and share with us?
I think all the time. I mean, I think like imposter syndrome is like a real thing. Like
Sure is.
I can remember standing on stage before I was going to go out and speak to a bunch of people thinking like, what am why am I here? Why am I speaking? Like no one cares. No one wants to hear it. But you just get in your head, right? And you play that game like, oh, I'm just a surf bum. Like what, you know what I mean? Like why, same thing with the podcast. Like I remember when I started the podcast, like, is anyone even going to care? Is anyone going to listen to this? Like, am I even going to be able to get guests? And so I think that's like a constant thing that is always there. So definitely I feel that. And I think the best way to get around that is to just do it. Like I'm a big, like, just jump in the deep end kind of guy and figure it out. Like there hasn't been anything we've done in business where we knew what we were doing going in, right? Like we started a real estate brokerage having never had a real estate brokerage. We're going into franchising, not knowing really much about franchising at the beginning. We started a real estate software company knowing nothing about software. Started a podcast knowing nothing about podcasting. And so I think just diving it in and getting the experience as you go, because I think what a lot of people do is they get in their head and they, the analysis paralysis stuff, they oh, I can't do it unless it's perfect, or I'm not ready yet, or I can't do it until this happens. And I'm more of a just like, let's just get it done and see how it goes. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, we'll just go to the next thing.
Explain to everyone, because all entrepreneurs go through failure. Mm-hmm. How did you cope with failures? How did you deal with it to move forward? And to touch on what you just said is to take action. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge proponent of take action. I agree with you. You jump in the water, you bring in the resources to figure it out, and you keep pushing forward. Yeah. As you went through your process, okay, I don't like the word journey. I like the word process. You go through your process. How did you cope with failures? What did you do to keep pushing forward to be able to create success in your career?
I think a lot of it is like the mental game. And I think that if you can conquer the mental game, a lot of that disappears. And as an entrepreneur, like, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know how to put it together and find the people that do know everything, and then they'll help you put it together. Like Brent over here behind the camera, he's the expert on cameras and mics and all the audio equipment and all that kind of stuff. So like, I don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. So it's finding experts that you can surround yourself with to do the things that you don't know how to do, don't want to do, aren't good at, etc. And then on the mental side of things, it's just like, I'm a big like podcast listener, affirmation listener, writing stuff down every day, like all the woo-woo stuff. I like that. I find that it works for me. I think that, like, I hate listening to the news, like especially right now, recession, this and that. You almost think the world's going to end, but the reality is, if you just keep going, and we're all going to make it through, we're all going to be fine. And if you just keep that positive message in your head, I think that makes a big difference, because otherwise you'll just spiral out, right? And that's
isn't it important that with that in mind of who you talk to, who you surround yourself with, who impacts you every day. I'm very selective of who I surround myself with, because I agree with you. I think your mindset, and people will put you down and out of jealousy, right? Yeah. They see Big Block Realty and they're like, oh, he's doing well and he's got great lifestyle, and I see him on social media, and so they get jealous. And it's so important to surround yourself with people. Do you find that you're always looking and saying, who is around me? Mm-hmm. Who's touching me? Who's influencing me? Who's putting stuff in my mind? And what am I doing to control and balance my mind just to make sure that I can create success in my life?
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. One of my regular affirmations is that I'm always networking up. I'm always networking up. I'm always networking up.
Leveling up.
Yeah, so like, it's important to be a part of groups like War Room, right? Like we're both in War Room.
Yeah.
It's a great place to meet like-minded people that want to do the same thing. They want to go places. And, I have friends that like I'll hang with to watch a game or whatever, but like it's hard to hang out with them now because they're not on the same path. And that's totally cool, right? Like
Right.
they love what they're doing and they're hanging out and doing their thing, but like I want to go big, and so I need to be around other people that want to go big too.
I always say, if you're going to go to a bar with friends, look at who's around you.
Yeah.
And say to yourself, is this the life I want?
Yeah.
Because there's a saying, one of my mentors always said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Yep.
And I say to even my staff that works for me, be careful who you surround yourself with. Because it creates toxicity. It could come into the company, it could come into their lives, negative impacts.
Yep.
And so it's really important for everyone listening out there, like Oliver says, is that be very mindful of who you surround yourself with. Yeah. Be mindful of who's impacting you. Be mindful what you're putting inside of your head every single day. And that's a real important lesson to know. Because again, being an entrepreneur is tough. You're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to be questioning yourself, that inner voice you talked about. And so if you can put yourself in a situation to create success, you will have success.
Yeah.
Because people always ask me, like, what is the key to success? You have to master your inner game. Being an entrepreneur, and you know this, you have Sam. So when you're alone, like me, where you're the founder of a company, it's lonely on top, and you have no one to talk to. The nice thing about your partnership is you can interact with Sam. True. And have that conversation. Yep. So I think it's really important that people are very sensitive to what they put in their mind, who they surround themselves, and how do they create that success in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to that, the best thing you can do is if you want to do something is to find someone that's already done it and get to know them, hang out with them, try to add value. One of our mentors as well, he always says, if you want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you go ask the people that you hang out with every day, they're going to be like, you're crazy. Like, you can't climb Mount Kilimanjaro. You're going to die. It's this, it's that, the blah, 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 blah. But if you ask a Sherpa that's climbed the mountain 12,000 times, he's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. You just come with me. I'm going to show you the way. Step here. Don't step here. Do this. Watch out for this rock slide area. And you're going to just be able to do it just by that association to someone that's already done it.
Out of all your mentors and coaches and people you interact with, is there something someone said to you that resonates with you that you carry today, that you think about on a consistent basis? I'll give you an example. So Joe Polish says, and I can't forget this, I think about it every day, is that, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you want to make sure that you don't want to regret the guy you could have been. And it's very powerful. I think about that because I think about when I pull the trigger and take action, I think about, I don't want to have that regret. I don't want to look back and say I didn't make that decision or I didn't move forward. Is there something or someone that said something to you that kind of carries with you?
Yeah, for sure. Similar message was be authentic. And it was simple, but I remember exactly when it was and we used to like wear suit and tie every day.
Yep.
Like we were the suit and tie guys all the time.
Well.
And we were at this networking event with a couple of our, mentors and business partners. And it was like, one of them just asked me like, what's up with the suit and tie? Like, why do you wear a suit and tie every day? And so at the time, we were in Mike Ferry coaching and that whole thing. And his message is, you wear a suit and tie every day, no matter what.
That's right.
And I'm like, what do you mean, man? Like, I wear a suit and tie because you wear a suit and tie every day. And he was just like, I think you'd have better results if you were just more authentic. I was like, He's all, you like surfing, you like art, you don't ever dress like this when you're not in this mode. He's all, I think you should just be more authentic. I was like, damn. And it took me like a year to like have that keep replaying in my head before like one day, I took the tie off and then I was wearing the suit with just no tie.
Right.
And then next thing the jacket comes off and then next thing you know, it's like now I feel way more authentic and I feel like that's been great because it attracts more people that want to be around people like me or people like you that, you know, they don't care if you're wearing a suit and tie or not, because you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and you're driven.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with that. When I was younger, one of my mentors from Europe used to say, "You're in a suit and tie every day. I don't want to see you not in a suit and tie."
Yeah.
And I was wearing 3 pieces. I was rocking the handkerchief.
handkerchief and everything.
I was rocking, like, I was getting suits from Thailand. I mean, getting fitted.
Yep.
John Varvatos as well. I was looking stylish.
Yeah.
And I realized that, yes, to walk into a bank, and in the business I'm in, you have to look better than everyone else. And then I realized and I got to a point in my career where I realized that I'm so talented that, just like you said, if I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy, that's what I love. I love wearing shoes. I'm a big shoe guy. I love wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And now that I live in California, it's really acceptable here.
Exactly.
And so it really flows with me. And so it's kind of nice. And I agree with you. If you could be your authentic self, it's something I work on every day. I think we all do, is, you know, that imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? It's that inner voice, and really just gaining that knowledge and having that repetition every day to really improve yourself is so important. And that's why things like War Room and all these different things and having mentors is so important, because you kind of can see how other people do it, and you can learn from it. And also you can get advice. And one of the things I found, and I don't know how you feel about this, is being vulnerable in front of people, saying, I need help. And I know some of your coaches who I know, I'm sure you've had those moments like, hey, you know, Sam and I are struggling. We're trying to figure this out. What do we do? How do we get past this point? We have this blockage. Tell our audience from your experience, because I share it a lot, is how important being vulnerable and laying it on the table and saying, I just don't know this and I need help. And I think what I see is, especially in the younger generation, is that they feel that you have to build this house of cards, fake it till you make it. And I see that a lot on social media. Instead of understanding that you're not going to know everything in life. And if you can be vulnerable and say, I don't know this, or I need help, I do it all the time. Yeah. And it works for me. How do you feel about that, of laying something on the table?
I think that's hugely important. I think that people want to help.
Right.
Right. And if you're the guy that is acting like you got it all together all the time, like, what's the point? I think that, like, I go speak at the college I graduated from probably every couple years, and they have a great entrepreneur program, and so I'll go and I'll do a talk to the class, and I'm still in contact with a lot of those kids. Like, I love when they call me and they ask for help. Like, I'm very happy to help. I'm open book, and I think that most people are the same way, especially if they've had success. And so if you can just come to them and be vulnerable and say, hey, I don't know what to do, or hey, I noticed you did this, can you show me how you did that? I think that goes a long way, and I think that is one of the shortcuts to going further faster.
That's great. What is the best way to follow you? Obviously, you have the Founders Club. You got your art. Lay on the table, what's the best way to engage with Big Block Realty, as well as you, to really learn the message you teach and follow you?
Yeah, I'm at Oliver Graf 360 on pretty much every social media. That's Graf with one F. Founders Club is the podcast. Big Block Realty is the company. We got the website. We have all the socials as well, Big Block Realty. So yeah, I'm pretty easy to find, and I'm happy to help. I'd love to contact, I'd love to chat with anybody.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up with our 3 questions that we ask all our guests. Are you ready?
I love it. I'm ready.
All right. So you're in studio, so you can't see. Normally right here we have a couch, okay, with pillows. If I laid you on the couch, I said, close your eyes, okay? How old are you now? Tell our audience.
42.
You're 42. You're still young. Go back to when you were 16. You've been through a lot of experiences. You have a partnership, you different businesses, your love for art. If you could go talk to yourself when you were 16 years old from what you know now, what advice would you give yourself to help you, that you could say, I wish I would have known this? Like, what is that?
I think believing in yourself. I think because people can do way more than they think they can do. Way more, especially over a long period of time. So if you're young and you believe in yourself, and you know that you can do whatever that you want to do, and you know that if you just find the right mentors, find the people that have been where you want to do what do already what you want to do. I think that's really it. I think it's believing in yourself, and then creating a strong plan, and then taking massive action on that plan. That's the three-part action plan for my 16-year-old self.
That's great. I love that. So it's our last day on Earth together.
Okay.
It's our last meal. What are we eating? Your choice.
Ooh. Well, I'm a foodie just like you.
I know you are.
This is a tough
Lay
question.
it on me. I can't wait to hear it.
Mastro's Ocean Club.
Oh, let's just go there right now.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with Mastro's
that's
Ocean
beautiful.
Club.
Great.
Big sushi guy too, so I love sushi, but steak and lobster is that's one of those.
What are we
magic
washing
meals.
it down with?
I'm a gin and tonic guy.
Okay.
So I love gin. I got a really good gin for anybody that wants a gin tip. It's called Gray Whale Gin.
Oh.
It's made here in California. It's a very small batch, but it's fantastic. It's the best gin I've ever had, and I've tried all of them.
That's great. So in our I-Unit studio, the drum set's not set up. Normally we have a grand piano, and we usually have 6 electric guitars behind me. You can have any band or musician come in the studio with us. They could be living or deceased to play us a song. And you like music.
I love it.
So this is going to be a tough one for you.
Yeah.
It's always a tough one for me.
Yeah.
Who's coming in to play us a song? Your choice.
I'm a huge rock and roll guy. So, that's a good question. The first tape I ever bought was Motley Crue, Decade of Decadence.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen them since many, many times, and I'm a big fan of pyrotechnics and when bands put on an amazing show that's over the top. So I'd say probably Motley Crue. And they'd be fun to party with afterwards.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Tommy Lee here in the studio.
Tommy Lee, you know it.
Neil?
Yep.
Love it. Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate you driving up.
Absolutely.
And if you are interested in following the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg, kick that right-hand subscribe button on YouTube. And feel free to listen to more episodes just like this man, Oliver Graf. If you're interested in following me, go to benreinberg.com for all our social media platforms. You can see what we do to provide you great content and knowledge. And if you're interested in commercial real estate, feel free to go to our company website, alliancecgc.com. And for all your commercial real estate needs, as well as if you want to invest in our brand new Alliance Medical Property Fund, again, go to alliancecgc.com. Oliver Graf, my friend, it was so good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And you guys out there, listen to this man. He knows his stuff.
And we love having you in Laguna, so we'll have to have you come back.
Let's
and
do it. Anytime.
Love to see you in Carlsbad soon.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.